More and more of us care about where our food comes from and how it's produced, but fewer and fewer of us get out there and harvest it on our own. Even great chefs who learn everything they can about food rarely have any experience with gathering those ingredients from the wild.
Yeah, normally when these things arrive, they don't have all the fur on them.
I'm Jed Conklin, and I've been hunting and fishing since I was a kid. In this series, I'm taking chefs who've never used a rod or a gun out onto the water and into the woods to teach them what it takes to put meat on the table. Then these cooks are going to turn our wild game into meals for us to share and celebrate.
I just got to get this thing raging.
Join us on the trip, from field to feast. We're going to be hunting our family farm that is located in the hardwood ridges above the Ohio River Valley with my good friend Jason Camp, my dad Keith Conklin, and Chef Chad White. I mean, man, you talk about people that are as passionate about food as anybody on the planet, and that is a chef. I mean, they have dedicated themselves to that. And for me to be able to take an opportunity to help them close that food loop, help them learn something new, I feel honored. Starting a restaurant, meeting chefs, we were having dinner parties. The only thing I was going to bring to that party was meat because I wasn't going to be cooking for these guys, right? And Chad White, he was one of the first guys in town. I'd bring wild game for them to cook. They would start asking questions about where it came from, and they wanted to know about the hunt, and then they wanted to go on the hunt, and then it just became, here we are.
I had came home for a weekend to hang out with my stepbrother, and 9/11 had happened. I went down to the local recruiter. I signed up to be in the Navy, and the only job that I qualified for was to be a cook. I remember a call I was on with my mother. I'm on the forecastle of the ship, and I just said, man, I hate the Navy. I do not want to be here. I wanted to fight. I'm not fighting. I feel like I'm useless. She's like, I just don't understand what your disconnect is, And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you've been an artist your entire life. You've watched cooking shows. We watched them together. You enjoy cooking. You need to look at it from a different perspective. You were an artist. What did you paint and draw on? What color was the canvas? White. What color are your plates? They're white. Chad, your new canvas is a plate. Paint on it with food. Top Chef aired December of 2015. I moved back to Spokane December of 2015. It was just like this huge, incredible feeling of love and support, and so stoked to be back home. And they were calling me the hometown hero because I was in the military, and a celebrity because I was on Top Chef, and everywhere I went, I was recognized, and man, it just felt like so incredible. Restaurants are doing really well. We won Best New Restaurant, Chef of the Year for 4 years in a row. Man, I felt so loved, felt on top of the world. I was like, this is where I should be. And then COVID happened. And it was just like, oh my God, my world is crumbling right in front of me. I come back to work, I just throw my head down, frustrated. I needed to find an outlet outside of the restaurant because all I've done now for 20 years is just restaurants.
You got your magazine full of bullets, right?
Yes.
Good morning from a tree in Kentucky. It's the opening day of the 2024 rifle season. It's almost a religious experience for a lot of people in Kentucky, including myself. This is a day that I've looked forward to almost every year my entire life. sitting on a ridge that I've hunted my entire life with my grandfathers and my father before me. And it's a special place. We got a stiff east wind, we got low pressure, and we got rain moving in. But it's the whitetail rut, and anything can happen. We've got a couple great bucks in here this year, and Chad's not gonna be too terribly picky, and I don't blame him. We got the first shot sounding off of the morning. A beautiful sunrise, and there's no place I'd rather be than sitting in this tree right now. Are you nervous about anything? Are you just cool, calm, and ready to rally?
I'm so cool, calm, ready to pop a big boy.
Well, I hope we see one today. And I'm assuming this is the first time you've ever been in a tree stand, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been up higher than this, but not in a tree.
Yeah, man, I know. It's, oh, what was that? It's literally that buck I just showed you the picture of with the weird antler. So we have this little buck coming up the ridge. Chad looks to me, I look to him. I say, "Are you gonna shoot it?" Chad says, "Well, would you shoot it?" I'm like, "Well, I wouldn't shoot it, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't shoot it." I can't explain to him the nuances of why I wouldn't shoot it because I've shot dozens of deer that size. I'm now waiting for a more mature animal. These are very difficult conversations to have in a tree, and a conversation we probably should have had beforehand. So Chad ultimately ends up not shooting the deer. Sure you don't want to shoot him?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't shoot him.
I can't believe you passed that deer.
I mean, I had an easy shot.
I know, that was a cake shot.
Yeah.
I hope you don't regret that whole sport.
Yeah, it'll be all right. I've given all of my love and attention to my restaurant, to charitable organizations, to my community, all on the backs of my family. And so I took my youngest on this overland Indian trip. And on our last day before we headed back home, this couple had seen me teaching her how to chop wood and how to cook our food all over a campfire. And they had wandered over telling my daughter, like, I don't think you understand like how important this moment is for you guys spending this time together, thinking about my daughters. And so I created Trail Feast, an outdoor dining concept. I'm excited to learn a new trade, a new skill. It's hard to expect what's ahead.
So these indicators right here are rubs. Do you remember the difference between the rub and a scrape?
Yes.
This is a rub. Bucks do this with their antlers. They typically do it on travel corridors. A tree this big, this is a big tree for a rub. Probably a good deer. I find it to be a great privilege to be able to teach somebody to hunt. Especially somebody like Chad, who's decided he wants to spend a lot more of his life outside. When I find a rub, I use the app and I mark the rub. And as you're spending a lot of time on the property, you start to realize, look at this line of rubs. You see that?
Yeah,
That's the drain we were sitting below today. Because I've marked all these rubs and all of a sudden it just starts to reveal like a point of travel. Yeah. To walk him on the deer trails that I've walked so many times before and show him sign of how whitetails use the terrain and the sign that they leave behind. It was a real privilege on helping him understand the ecosystems and the animals that will ultimately become the food that nourish him. So a scrape is a rut-specific type of sign. So a buck will come in here, he'll rub his parietal gland on these trees, and then he'll come in here and he'll scrape. The scrapes are oftentimes where trails come together, crisscross, or next to a feeding area where a lot of does congregate. The bucks will scrape right there. And so I can mark those, and if I find a group of does and where they bed, I'll mark those. And by the time you do that for a little while on a piece of property, all of a sudden it just becomes a puzzle that you can kind of just unravel. This afternoon, Jason's come from his farm to join us for the evening hunt. He's going to stay along the creek bottom, and Chad and I are going to climb in a tree on an oak savanna that we've been restoring. There's a big buck that we've been getting on camera, and I hope we get a glimpse of him today. Sitting in a tree stand has always been a very special place for me. It's a place that most people never find themselves, and you're hyper aware of your surroundings, and you pay attention to every branch and every bird chirp, and you smell the leaves as they begin to warm in the sun, and then you hear the crunch of a deer walking in the leaves, and your heart rate gets up, and the hair on the back of your neck stands, and you become laser focused. The exciting thing about hunting the rut is you just never know what's going to happen next. A buck could come running a doe by you at any second. And this afternoon, we had some deer come by. It just didn't present us a shot opportunity, but we heard a gunshot, and it sounds like old Jason got it done. We cooked up a fresh heart, a tenderloin, cracked a cold beer, and told the story on the tailgate of a truck that I've had since I was in high school on a farm that I've never not known. And to be able to introduce Chad to that environment, I could tell it was a pretty special time for him.
Chad, you're invited back, brother. That's all right.
Cheers, buddy. Good job, dude. Well, the weatherman was right today, and it did actually rain, and it was torrential. So we won't be hunting this morning, but we are going to take Chad into the barn and teach him how to break down Jason's buck.
I know you're an excellent chef.
Yeah, normally when these things arrive, they don't have all the fur on them.
Yeah, so we're going to get that down to more a piece that you're used to seeing.
What you guys will do is you're gonna come up from the brisket and you're gonna run all the way down below this knee. So we'll ring it around the bottom of the tarsal. We'll split up inside of each one of these things. Then you guys will start working it down from the back and the sides.
We start, processing his buck, and man, disparity is just setting in. I'm frustrated. I'm like, man, what happens if we don't get the buck today? I gotta leave in a couple days. That I lose my chance, man. I'm just I'm so frustrated. And I'm like, man, am I gonna get a buck? Weather breaks. Sun kind of comes out a little bit. Jed's like, hey, got an opportunity.
We finished breaking down the deer, and the radar says there's a small weather window. We're gonna try to squeeze in an afternoon hunt. The winds are variable, so we don't know if we're gonna be in a tree or on the ground. But these opportunities between storms often put big bucks on their feet.
Really?
You're already sweating, dude.
Bro, I'm a built-in furnace.
We're gonna go back up to that same ridge where we've been getting pictures of that big buck. But right now, Chad's got a few doe tags in his pocket. His time's running out, so he's decided he's gonna try to get a doe down to put some meat in the freezer. We're gonna cross a creek and climb a ridge up to an oak flat where a lot of does come out in the evening to feed. But during this time of the year, it's the rut. You just never know when the big buck might pop out too. As the evening settles in, I look up and see deer moving our way, but they ended up being 4 fawns, and we're looking for a more mature doe. And as I'm trying to explain this to Chad, I look over and I see antler tips coming up over the ridge. It's a big buck, dude. It's a big buck.
Are you serious? Dude, that is a monster deer. That is a monster deer. Monster deer. Oh my gosh, that is the biggest buck on the farm.
Oh, we got it.
That is the biggest buck on the farm.
Oh, it's worth the wait.
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh, dude.
Let's go walk down and take a look at this thing.
Let's go walk down and take a look at this thing. That's the buck from yesterday, man. That's a monster. This is a bigger buck than most people might ever shoot in their life, man. And this is your first buck.
Never in a million years thought if I was gonna shoot my first deer, it would be that. You know, like he gives me a moment to kind of like sit there with a deer and like, just like take it all in. And there's this feeling of like pride and understanding that you harvested your own animal for your family. And I felt really good.
Pretty intense, brother, man. You had some emotion going on there, I think. Little heart rate get up a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. He quartered towards me, and I think I had like this much room between the tree and the shot.
It looks like you'd got it.
Reverse back to 1976 when my dad was excited to see a deer print on our farm. And he's killed some good ones since then, but we haven't killed a deer this big on this farm in almost 20 years. And I'm excited for my dad to get an opportunity to check it out.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Jed thought he needed another year, kids.
Hunting for me is not necessarily a means to an end. And by that I mean it's more than just the meat in the freezer. There's a lot of time between shutting the truck door and pulling the trigger. That camaraderie I got to share with Chad. I was able to introduce him to the oak ridges that I grew up on and hunted on. And now he has a full freezer and a full heart full of memories. And we're gonna be able to take those memories and that meat, and we're gonna be able to build on them with a phenomenal dinner that we're gonna share with people that I've spent my life growing up with and hunting with at a cabin just down the road from our farm in a very special place in the world.
I had a lot of gratitude that I had this opportunity. God gave me a buck that was harvested sustainably in the most humane way possible. If you think that you respect animals more before hunting, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that you will respect them far more after you start hunting. I didn't know if I would go hunting again after this when I started. And I will absolutely hunt again because I feel I'm doing it for the right reasons. This was just on a whole nother level and full circle. Field to feast, you know?